A few months ago, I visited an Amish farm tucked away in a quiet valley. No chemicals, no machinery, just soil so alive you could smell the richness before you even stepped out of the cart. Their vegetables were massive, their fruits tasted better than anything store-bought, and the soil? It was dark, springy, and full of worms. I asked what their secret was, expecting complicated formulas or pricey amendments. The answer, simple, time-tested, and honestly, shockingly effective. Have you ever tried Amish-style soil methods like cover cropping or compost teas? Drop a comment below. I'd love to know what results you got and what worked best in your garden. Today, I'm going to break down exactly what I saw, how I copied it in my own dead soil, and why these Amish methods work with nature, not against it, to rebuild your soil from the roots up. When your soil's gone dry, compacted, or barren, most people turn to quick fixes, synthetic fertilizers, deep tilling, or chemical amendments. But, honestly, these often make things worse in the long run. The Amish, however, think generationally. Their soil methods are designed to build ecosystems, not just feed plants. The result is soil that keeps getting better, year after year. And it all starts with what you grow before you grow anything else. One of the first things I noticed was how often the Amish use green cover crops. In one garden I saw rows of buckwheat and clover already flowering, destined to be cut and left right there to break down. These plants aren't for eating, they're for healing the ground. Clover and hairy vetch fix nitrogen, feeding future crops. Buckwheat and rye break up compaction and choke out weeds. Timing is everything. They cut these plants just as they flower, when the nutrient content is at its peak but before they go to seed. Then, instead of removing the biomass, they leave it on the soil to decay naturally. No burning, no hauling, just nutrient cycling, Amish style. I followed suit in one of my weakest beds, broadcast rye and clover in early spring, then chopped it down in mid-flower. Within 10 days, the worm activity exploded, the soil color deepened, something was waking up underground. Compost is nothing new, but the Amish don't stop at just food scraps. Their piles are like biological batteries charged with all sorts of unlikely ingredients. I saw one family add wood ash for potassium, crushed eggshells for calcium, and even a splash of sauerkraut brine to boost microbial diversity. One method that really stood out was the use of dandelion and nettle. Dandelions were chopped into the compost to stimulate potassium flow, while nettles were soaked to make a vibrant green tea that smells awful, but works wonders. When I tried nettle tea on my tomato bed, the difference in vigor within a week was impossible to ignore. They also make compost tea, a brewed liquid version that's just packed with microbial life. I sprayed it over some really tired soil, and honestly, by week 2, the top crust had already softened up, white fungal threads started to show, and water retention improved drastically. The bed no longer repelled water like concrete. Instead, it actually absorbed and held onto it. Another thing the Amish do differently, and it's pretty interesting, they don't till. Instead of flipping the soil, they use a broad fork, a wide tool with deep tines that gently lifts and aerates the ground without breaking up the soil layers. It's slow, manual work for sure, but it leaves the microbial networks and all those worm tunnels intact. So I tried broad forking my beds before adding compost and cover crop mulch, and well, the result? Water soaked in fast, roots traveled deeper, and digging it again 2 weeks later was like slicing into cake, crumbly, rich, and full of life. When you stop tilling, the soil rebuilds itself, the structure returns, microbes repopulate, and your plants, they thank you. Dead soil often becomes dry soil. Without organic matter or structure, it can't hold water. The Amish combat this with deep mulching, stacking shredded leaves, hay, or even their cut cover crops right on top of the beds. This creates a living sponge layer. In foggy regions, some Amish even place mesh nets or screens near their crops to harvest dew and fog drip. In drier zones, they create sunken beds or small channels that catch and hold rainwater during storms. I built a small swale at the downhill end of my raised beds and noticed within a week that bed stayed moist long after the rest dried out. Here's a trick I brought home immediately: nettle tea, again. The same brew used to feed plants also deters soft-bodied pests when used as a foliar spray. I saw it used on cabbage and broccoli beds with zero visible aphid damage. And because the Amish rely on compost, cover crops, and microbe-rich amendments, they rarely face full-blown infestations. Their soil is simply too alive to allow it. Healthy plants fend off pests better. It's not magic, it's biology. Reviving dead soil isn't about fancy gadgets or expensive amendments. The Amish showed me that what your soil truly needs is life, organic matter, microbes, structure, moisture, and of course, time. Everything else follows. By combining cover crops, diverse composting, no-till methods, and smart moisture strategies, I turned a bone-dry bed into a thriving ecosystem in just a few weeks. And the best part? It cost almost nothing. If you're serious about rebuilding your garden soil the right way, copy these Amish secrets. Your plants and your future harvests will thank you. And if this guide helped, make sure to subscribe to Hydro Haven, share this with a gardener who's struggling, and re-watch it when you're planning your next season. Nature already knows how to heal the soil. We just have to get out of the way.